Hello, Flosstube. Excuse me. Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches, here with my update number 414. Flosstube update number 414. Today is December 5th. Excuse me, 2025. Sorry, I'm getting a little frog in my throat. um, this weekend is the Jingle Ball, and so I'm taking a little break from the Jingle Ball. My sisters and I just recorded our um, Sticks and Strings video, and now I'm doing my update, and I'm hoping to try to keep it a little short um, because I want to get back to the Jingle Ball. Um, but I had some good times last night and class this morning, and I spent too much money in the shopping hall. Some of it I wanted to show all of that to you, but my printer, I was trying to print it this morning, and my printer started acting up, and it was getting close to the time for my class, so I just printed off. I mean, I had printed off some of the stuff, but there's a few other charts that I purchased at the shopping hall, so hopefully I'll have them next week. I'll be able to show them. Excuse me, to you. I'm first of all, I'm wearing a one of my few Christmas shirts. This is Joy. My friend Brandy sent that to me, and she also sent me a blue like hoodie with the same picture on it. Really cute. Thank you, Brandy. Um, and these were both from. I had it right here, and now I lost it. The Lexington Humane Society in Kentucky. That's apparently where she got them from. And I had the card right here, and I don't know what I do with it. Um, I thought I had it right here, handy, and I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, it's from the Lexington Humane Society. Um, so yeah, and I'll put that at the bottom of the show. Okay, so I've been working this week on a few things. I have a finish, um, as well as a new start. So one of the things I worked on last year, and I worked on it earlier this year. I mean, I bought it last year. Excuse me, at the Jingle Ball last year. Uh, Jeannine McGowan, the Blue Flower, um, released this design at the Jingle Ball. This is Merry Menagerie. So there's three little killdeer and an axolotl and blue penguins, and these are like I said, this pattern was released last year at the Jingle Ball, and I purchased it, and I had started um, earlier this year. I guess these are all new, on my new starts list. So I started the Killdeer, and I started the Axolotl, and I just this month started the Blue Penguins. But the Killdeer I had showed before. I had finished or mostly finished the middle one, and it started on the last one. I had just done the little white belly of this last one, and I don't know if I had quite finished that third one. I don't know if I had all the colors or whatever. But anyway, then I had started the axolotl, and I had all but finished it except for this blue color is called Santa Cruz. It's a Weeks Dye Works color, and there were some little bits of it in the axolotl, and I had a hard time finding it, and I finally ordered some, and I think I showed it last week. But anyway, so I finished the axolotl. I put in the little blue Santa Cruz parts around, like you can see it around his eyes, and in the middle of this ornament here. But he's all done, so I have a finish. It was a really quick stitch because these are pretty small. But then I sort of turned the fabric over this way, and I started on the blue penguin. So this is the head of the blue penguin the bigger penguin. There's a little bitty penguin, baby penguin, beside it. But anyway, so I got to start on the on this on blue penguins, and this is 32 count Murano Carré in fleur, the color fleur. So these are like painted on little flowers. Because they're not on the back side of the fabric. They're just on the front side. They're like a paint or ink or whatever on the fabric. I said I got this. I said it before. I got it at Hobby Lobby once upon a time. They used to carry a lot of colors of Murano Carré, and then they just stopped carrying it. I don't know if they didn't sell enough. You know, it's hard with a big box store like that. They have to they order stuff that sells, and if it doesn't sell, you know, they had a little while where they kind of had a big splash of uh, cross stitch stuff, and then they reduced it again. So there's very little to choose from. There's a few things. You know, they carry a pretty full set of regular DMC. They don't carry. They have a little bit of the of pearl cotton, but they don't carry any of the fancier DMC threads. They don't carry étoile. They don't carry the variegated colors. They don't carry anything like that at Hobby Lobby. You can still find at Michael's. You can find some of the étoile, some of the color variations, some of the other colors like that. But for the most part, or some extra pearl cotton colors. But for the most part, and all the regular DMC colors. But a lot of times you have to order them online or something. Anyway, that's that 32 count Murano Carré. And then another thing I worked on, I have shown this before, and it's getting close to being finished, but is this little Foxy snow globe. I don't know if that's the actual real name of it, but that's what I call it. This is a tiny modernist design, and I think this came out at last year's Jingle Ball also. Yeah, the copyright is 2024, so yeah, that's where it was from. And again, I don't know if it was a freebie at the Jingle Ball last year or something, I don't know. But anyway, excuse me. I started working on this, and so I at the end of last month, I had a few days at the end of the month, so I was doing a few things. So I was working on the Foxy Snow Globe. So I finished the base and all of this stuff. There's in this tree, if you can see this little candy cane here is red and white striped, right? So there's some other candy canes in here that I have not done the white in yet. And then there's some white, like snowflake kind of, little things all around in here. And the fox's little hat, she has a little poof, a little white pom-pom thing, and there's some back stitching down here. And then there's a white moon, and so there's a lot of white little details in here. And then on the top of here, you can't really see. There's the bottom part of this bow that goes on the top of this. So there's some red stitches that go in there to complete that bow. But this past week, I finished this darker thing here, the edge of the snow globe, and I finished all this other stuff inside there. The fox's coat, the presents, the other details. It's just all the white that's the left in there, and then the red of that bow up here. Yeah, so this is almost done. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish it soon. I stopped working on it because I started working on my December stuff, among which was one of my WIPGO calls is the reindeer. And when I worked on this when I picked it up, I had done part of the darker, some of the dark brownish colors here. I had done the darker colors in the antlers. There's like a lighter color that's on the top of them. You see a little bit here, like this light color here. But there's some that's like on the top of those little curly cues that I have not done yet. I did. I started to go down here, down his neck. So I did about 2/3 of that, um, and then I did some more of these little. There's like little isolated snowflakes here and there. So I some of them I had already done, but so I worked on a few more of those, and I did a little bit of white that's on his rump right here under the underside of his tail and part of his bottom. Um, but there's still lots to go, and a few more days. I only did about 3 days of the 7 that I set aside for this pattern. So I worked on it. You can see you get a little bit here, so it doesn't. The sun doesn't go through it. Sorry. Yeah, there. So I worked it a little more here on the neck. Before, I think like I'd stopped around here before. So I put in this part, and then I did some little isolated snowflakes that were around here, and I did his part of his bottom here. I still needed to stitch the rest of it, and then there's white, like on his legs here and down here. So I haven't done any of the rest of his body here yet. So yeah, and that other lighter color, you can see a little bit of it right here because I think I had, some of the piece of thread left, so I had stitched that a little bit there. So there's, that kind of color here and there all over his antlers, and yeah, so it's a long way to go on this one, but I have a few more days before I reach the 7-day goal on that, so I'll put in some more time on that. And one of the reasons I stopped working on it was I worked on the Western Woods Biscornu by Jeannine McGowan of the Blue Flower. Winter Woods Biscornu. Um, because I had a class at this year's Jingle Ball with Jeannine McGowan for this Winter Woods Biscornu. That was one of the classes. And so I just had that this morning. And of course, I wasn't anywhere near finished with the Biscornu, but I'd done Biscornus before, and so I wanted to see um, uh, what tips and advice she had for that. Um, and one of the things, and I hadn't really thought about it, the Biscornu you put together, this way, right? Uh, the middle of one piece to the corner of the other piece, right? So, each side of the Biscornu, the front and back, is a perfect square um, that matches. But instead of putting it, together like this, you do it opposite, right? So the corner of one piece sits at the center of the other piece, and vice versa. So you go around that way, and you make that funky uh, shape. This. Yeah, so it's met by this is in the back side, and it hits the middle of the front side, right? Anyway, so I had always put, and I've done like 3 or 4 Biscornus before, and I always put that because you match up you find the very center of this uh, of one side, and you match with the corner of the other side. And so I had always started there on the corner, and you stitch your way around it. Only what she was talking about, and it had never occurred to me. One of the things she did is on the backstitch line that she wrote on, drew on the pattern. On the backstitch line, um, she just put an extra like horizontal stitch in the middle of that, in the center, right, of that backstitch line. So that tells you automatically where the center is. And so you do the back stitch all along that side, and then you do that one little center stitch, and then you continue on the rest of the side. So you have that center marking on each of the 4 sides of the Biscornu, and that helps you put the corner of the other side directly on it without having to like sort of tediously count and make sure that your counting was right and you know and all that. It's already done there. If you put it in the right place when you're back stitching, it's already on in the center. And then so you can like sort of pin those together so you know where the center is. You marked it. You've got that corner on that center stitch, and then you start a few stitches away from that and work your way toward that corner and you round it. And it had never occurred to me because that starting away from the corner gives you a good start before you hit that corner because the corners are always very tricky in the way they sit together, you know. But anyway, so yeah, so that was a tip that had never occurred to me before, um, and it was sorry, I need to jiggle it my computer. But that was a good tip to learn to apply. Um, and so anyway, it was a nice class. It was a fun class. It was an informative class. It was great. Um, so here's the Lexington here's the Lexington Humane Society thing. Yeah, I did have it right there. Yeah, Lexington Humane Society. This was where she got the shirts from. Um, anyway, so I had the Western Wood Winter Woods Biscornu by Jeannine McGowan, and I had started working on that, and it's going to be big. It's going to be a big Biscornu. You can see it. This is my hand. It's bigger than my hand. It's like eight at 28 count, which is what this fabric is. It's like eight and three quarters inches or something like that. Um, the model was stitched on 32 count, and it was still it's like 122 by 122 the square. Um, and so even with at 32 count, it's like the stitching is about 8 inches, and when you finish it and make it into the scoring shape, it measures about 7 inches across. So it's big. But so I started in the upper. Where am I? Got this upside down here, in the upper left hand corner, and I'd started with the branches because this was the easiest place, the closest to the corner. And like if I'd started on this line, this is not the backstitch line, it's like the border line of the picture, right? And then there's the backstitch line that goes on the outside of this. But this border line, I didn't want to start with the border. I didn't have at the time wanted to start it. I did not have yet the uh, specialty threads uh, that are called for. And I could have done it all in DMC. There's a DMC alternative on the pattern, but I wanted to use the call for threads, and it's a combination of Cottage Garden threads and Roxy Floss and DMC. So I had the DMC color for the branches here, so I started with that, and it was it goes up to the corner, starts at the corner, so it was fine. So I did all of this branch, and I was very careful about like where these branches go off and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to make sure they were right, and then right here, um, I was able to start the next branch and go down this way, right? And then this one, I like counted. I was able to count. It was not too far to count to here and then go that way. So I had done those, and I thought, what if it's wrong? What if I made a mistake somewhere in there? So, so in preparation for the class today, just because to work on it for the class, even though I knew I wasn't going to finish it, obviously, um, I I had finally gotten in my specialty threads, and I'll show those to you in a minute. But so I started then in this corner with this border thread, and I stitched across, and I came over here, and it fit perfectly. And now I have not counted across here to see if there's 122 stitches or whatever, but it it hit that corner and made the corner and seemed to be okay. So then I started going down. I went down this side just to the end of this thread, and then I started going down this side, And I got to the bottom of this thing, and it it's off by a stitch. So I went back and I looked here, which is where I connected it, and this is one stitch off. It should have been one stitch lower. And so I'm not going to fix that. Please see, I'm not going to take that all out and fix it. So I'm going to just kind of have to fudge this area, and I'm just going to, add a couple stitches down here to make it hit that corner and hope for the best. And then I'm going to, and now see it going across here. What I think I'm going to do is, putting all whatever animals, going in these branches. There's like a fox, an ermine, I mean, a fox, a weasel, a lynx, and an owl are the big animals that go in these corners. And then there are like various birds and squirrels and things like that that go out in all these branches. And then there's like, I think 3 trees or something like that. Trees, in all of these corners. So I think I'll probably be able to somehow fudge a little bit in this area, even if I have to like maybe stitch over a thread, or I stitch over an existing stitch or something like that with another color or something. But I'm just going to have to make that work because I am not pulling all of that out. Yeah. So anyway, that's where I am with the Winter Woods Biscornu. And, you know, the one I did for last year's Blue Flower class, the Festive Forest, it's still, it's one of my December WIPGO calls. But, and it was also waiting on a few specialty threads. I was hemming and hawing about, will I use the DMC alternatives, or will I use the called for fancy flosses? And I went ahead and finally purchased those recently. So anyway, the threads that I purchased for this pattern, the Winter Woods Biscornu, it calls for Roxy Floss, Cottage Garden threads, and DMC. So I did go ahead and buy those flosses, and they came in just the other day. Actually, last Saturday, right after I filmed my update. I think that evening we were out running around and um, went, or maybe the next day, went and picked up. Went to the mailbox, and lo and behold, there they were in the mailbox. Um, but so these are the flosses. This is the Roxy floss, and this is out of Canada. You can order them through Evertote, which is um, the Flosstube. Carolyn McNeil, is that her name? Caroline McNeil. That's her channel, and you can order Roxy Floss through there. But anyway, so these are the colors for Roxy Floss, and it calls for 2 skeins of this. This is asparagus, so this is that border color, as well as there's some tree things and all that in there. So yeah, so that's the Roxy Flosses. And then the other thing was Cottage Garden threads, and some of them are for this pattern, and some of them are um, for the Festive Forest pattern. And I had some threads that were on my list of threads I needed that were for Pigeon and Puddle. And so anyway, I think I have all the threads for those 3 patterns: Pigeon and Puddle, this Western Winter Woods Biscornu. How do I keep calling Western? Winter Woods Biscornu, and Festive Forest. So these are the 4 threads that I had been looking for and waiting for, whatever. So I ordered these, and this is Cottage Garden threads. Yeah, one of them is called Sleepy Cat. One is called Nimbus. This one. Yeah. So anyway, that's what these 4 threads are. So I have all the right threads now for everything, for all of those patterns. But and those threads came with a nice little this little envelope that says, "Happy stitching. We can't wait to see what you create." And I want to say it says, I don't know the name. I can't read it. Minjani, Miraj, I don't know what. M I RJAN. I don't know. I think it's hard to say. It's hard to read that, but it has this cute little flower sticker, right? To stick this card to this envelope. I thought, what is this envelope? They are little stickers. These little clear flower stickers that you could put, like, you know, there's some lavender, it looks like. Oh, oh, great, I'm dropping them. Oh, hang on one second. Sorry. I don't want to lose this here. Okay. So there's these little purple flowers. Let me hold these up against this so you can see them better. There's some little purple flowers there. Oops, I have this upside down. I want to say they're like, looks like lavender. And there's these big flowers. Looks like lilies or something. And then these. So anyway, these were in this little envelope. Yeah. It's a nice little treat for with those flosses. Let me put this over here. And then, like I said, this weekend is the Jingle Ball. And so I was sort of what I call nickel and diming myself to death by saying, oh, this is only $5. Oh, this is only $15. Right? This is only $5. And so, yeah, and ended up spending a lot of money. But I also got a lot of freebies. A lot of the designers have, you know, a freebie in their account or whatever. So some of them are very cute. So I got some of those. But then I was, like I said, this morning, before my, before the Jingle Ball started, or well, I mean, before like my class was at 10 o'clock, my early morning class. And so when I got up early this morning, I went out there and I was, trying to print some stuff off because I thought, well, okay, I can print it all off before my class and have it all for our Three Sisters video, the Sticks and Strings video, and then also for this update. But my printer decided to act up, and so I was able to print some of them, but not all of them. Before it was like it was getting close to 10, and the printer wasn't working properly. It would like print half a page and stop, and then yeah, so it wasn't working. Anyway, so these are all just higgledy-piggledy. This was by Heartstring Sampler, Beth Twist. This is a freebie from a previous year, I think. Let's see what it says here. When she, I want to say it came out last year, but I'm not positive. But this is called Quilted Poinsettia, and it's just it was a freebie chart that was on her in the shopping haul this year. So it's a really cute little thing, and I'm always the poinsettia designs always strike me because that was something my mother really liked. Yeah. And then this was one I bought, hands-on design, gather round the manger. So there's 3 little round. You can finish them as rounds. And in the shopping hall, she had also like the mat board kind of circles. You could order the finishing materials for this, but you can either finish them as round ornaments like this, or you could finish them in as a long band. And then she has among the pattern stuff, she has like a single piece border thing you could use if you're going to stitch them all like this. And I haven't decided whether I'll do them as like this as ornaments or just one long piece like this. I haven't decided yet. I haven't ever really had a chance to look at it, but I really like the design. She showed all of the designers, I think, had like sneak peek videos of what was coming up at the ball. So yeah, I liked hers immediately. Yeah. And I think I showed this already last year. I mean, last week. The Marion Bright. This is a Premier's Cottage freebie that was not at the Jingle Ball. This was just from her newsletter. I think I showed it last week. I just had it amongst all my papers. But yeah. And then I have another one that I don't have a picture of it. My sister printed off a picture of it, and I don't have it with me here. But this was by the Blue Flower, called Festive Flicker. So it's like the one I had. This is from 2021, but she had it as a freebie there, and it's basically a candy cane and this bird, I guess it's a type of woodpecker. um, but then he's got a little, winter snow hat on. There he is. But yeah, so this is it's all in DMC except it does call for Rainbow Gallery Whisper Ecru. And I think that's for the hat. But so I may just use white on there. I don't know that I'll use that. But and then also from the Blue Flower, this is Christmas Cheetahs, and this is I think this is one where the proceeds go to an animal rescue or zoo thing to help raise money for to support these cheetahs. And she had on the Jingle Ball website, she had a video of her visit to this the I can't I didn't hear whether it was a zoo or a sanctuary of but her visiting with the cheetahs, with the keepers of the cheetahs, and some talking about some cheetah facts and all that stuff. So anyway, this is Christmas cheetahs. I think it goes like this. This is the way the pattern looks. Yeah, the running cheetahs with the string of lights. And I just now noticed that part of this, that when this printed, part of it is cut off here, but it's nothing important. It's just it just is, the D of the DMC. I may have to look at this again more closely to see if there's anything important that got cut off. But yeah, so I think the actual pattern looks like it's intact, and I think it was just this front part of this front page. So I need to look at it again to make sure there's nothing important that I need to write down. I'm not going to reprint the page just for that, but I might have to make some notes on that. And this is also from the Blue Flower. This one I just loved from her little previews that she was showing. This is the Winter Whale by the Blue Flower. So it's a little whale wearing a sweater, and then with some snowflakes. And my younger sister pointed out, whales don't need sweaters. And me and my older sister said, but it gets cold in the water. And this is in DMC and Roxy Floss. And of course, the Roxy Floss colors are colors I don't have. So I may order some more Roxy Floss, maybe. But this is, yeah, it's a whale wearing a sweater. Yeah. And she also did one with a buffalo wearing a sweater. That's cute also, yeah. And then this is another freebie, I guess, by Annie B. Frosty and Friend. And I'm just going to flash it right there. The snowman with a cardinal. Yeah. And then there was the official Jingle Ball ornament design for this year. And that was this one here, Homebound. I guess it's, yeah, Homebound. There's a little pink truck with a Christmas tree and on there. And it says Jingle Ball 25, JB 25. So yeah, and it's all in DMC, I think, yeah. And then, of course, like I said, there were some others, but I don't. I'm not going to show pictures on my phone or anything like that because. But there were a few others that I had purchased and downloaded. Some freebies and some. I want to say some that I purchased. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Um, but the other thing I wanted to mention was just that I've shown my cats on here before. My cat Snug and my cat Puck. And Puck is my black and white tuxedo cat, and Snug was a white cat with patches on him. But Snug had gotten his health had declined quite a bit in the last, and especially in the last month. And so I had to put him to sleep on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. Um, he was always like very motivated and had gained a lot of weight at some point. He'd gotten up to like 18 pounds. Um, but then he had developed kind of a little intestinal blockage of some kind. It was just problematic, and so he was taking Metamucil and stuff like that, and um, but it was one of those things that it was in a place where they couldn't really diagnose it well. They could see it on the X-rays, but there wasn't much they could do about it. And we weren't going to do exploratory surgery or anything like that on him. Um, and he was born in 2011, so he's this year he was already 14. So when he was diagnosed with this problem was probably a year ago or whatever. Anyway, um, but he was doing okay. But then when we moved at the end of October, around the 20 something, 22nd, 23rd, whatever of October, um, right around that time he started losing weight, and last month in November he just very suddenly just lost lots of weight. And so for the last couple of weeks, he was basically skin and bones. You could feel every bone in his body. And he seemed to be still okay. You know, he wasn't like just lying there or whatever. He was still getting up and still, eating and drinking and peeing and pooping, which are the main things you look for. But then in the last week or so, he really kind of stopped eating. He would eat a little bit. He would nibble a little bit. One of the things he really liked was those little churro squeezy treat things. He loved those. Um, and got to the point where he really wouldn't even eat that. You know, um, the last time I gave him one, he ate about maybe half of his, and you know, usually he would eat all of his and all of Puck's. Puck would nibble at it and then leave it, and then Snow would finish it, and but he wasn't even really interested in that. And the last thing I did was I had I gave him a little bit of milk in a bowl, little like maybe a couple tablespoons of milk, and cats are are really kind of lactose intolerant. Milk is not really the best thing for them, but um, he I had a bowl of cereal and I had some milk and I let him have the last of the milk in the cereal, and he seemed to really like that. So I think it was maybe Tuesday or you know earlier this week, like Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, I guess. I just poured him some milk in the little bowl, and he just lapped it all up. Um, so, but I had already made the decision that that I would I had made an appointment for him on Wednesday morning, and in talking with the vet, she was very nice, and she actually gave him another churro treat, and it was chicken flavored, and he loves chicken flavor, but he's kind of allergic. He was allergic to chicken. Um, so we gave him the little chicken treat, and he gobbled it up, and he ate almost all of it. But that was his little last meal, and then he was so skinny and so bony that I mean they had trouble getting an IV into him. But so they let me stay with him, and we just till he slipped away. Um, anyway, my older sister, she knew of this company that makes like mugs and pins and buttons or whatever, and so I sent her. She had me send her a picture. I'm gonna get this in the right place here. You get a good view, and there it is. So this is a very close-up picture of his little face, but she made this little magnet for me. Yeah, and and actually, she had it in mind that it's pretty big, but I could use it as a needle minder, but I have to put another stronger magnet on the back because it has a magnet that it came with, but then um, it's not strong enough to support it on as a needle minder. It slips off of this magnet. So if I can glue this one on and then add another magnet, it'll work as a needle minder. But yeah, that's my kitty Snug. So, but like I said, he was 14, so it was not completely unexpected that his health would decline. But Puck is like 18, and I would have thought that Puck would go first, because he's older but he seems to be very spry still and holding his own and all that. So at least I've got I've got Puck. So and I when Puck was little, I still had my cat Cyrano. Cyrano was about 18, and he had cardiomyopathy, and so Cyrano passed away when I'd had Puck for about a year, and so then I had Puck for 4 years by himself, and then I got Snug, and so now I have Puck by himself again, and he does seem a little bit lonely. He and Snug were never best buds or whatever, but they're used to each other, being around each other, and all that. So now Puck is kind of knocking around by himself again, but he still seems to be doing well. Anyway, that's my bit of sad news for this week. But otherwise, I am gonna get back to the Jingle Ball now that I've got this done with, and like I said, hopefully maybe next week I'll be able to share more of the patterns that I bought at the Jingle Ball that I got at the Jingle Ball. Um, there were some really cute needle minders that I almost got, but I was trying to kind of save money because I've got some issues and stuff going on, and Christmas is coming up and all of that. So I thought, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, you kind of on the one hand you want everything, but on the other hand you're like, really be realistic, and even though those needle minders are cute, one was a frog that I really wanted, and the other is it's a hands-on design Christmas beetle was one of the patterns that she has, and then there was needle minders you could get to go with it, and I kind of wanted it, but kind of I thought trying to save money, but anyway, so but like I said, so hopefully next week whatever the issue is with my printer will have been solved. I really, really do not want to have to buy a new printer. I'm hoping that it was just some kind of, glitch. Um, what was going on? I don't know what, but hopefully, like I said, next week, hopefully I'll have all um, the rest of the items that I got this weekend. So anyway, I think that's it. That's everything, and I'm going to get back to the Jingle Ball. Um, uh, and see what else is going on. My older sister is in the Stand Up for Santa class right now with hands-on design class. Um, but yeah, so anyway, I will see you all next time and have a good Christmas. Well, Christmas season, not Christmas yet. Um, but yeah, so I'll see you all next week. Bye.